The other officers already think there's something going on. Now, if you want the women to lay off, you give me the diaries and they'll have no reason.
For a price?
What?
You've got to give me a good report at the next classification meeting. I've got to get maximum remissions.
Right. Now, where are they?
How do I know that I can trust you?
You can trust me with one thing. I'll make your life hell if you don't give them to me. Now, where are they?
They're underneath the locker in the isolation cell. It's our only chance. No, Penny, you can't get through. Susie, Chris, we're looking the only way. No, we'll become to life. We've got to find another way. There isn't another way. All gates are locked. No, if I can do it, you can too. No, Penny, we'll burn to death. We've got to find another way. Now, come back.
The fire brigade will be here soon. They'll get them out.
It could be too late. Someone has to open those gates.
Erica, we can't afford to risk another life.
It's my responsibility, Meg. And I wouldn't ask anyone else to risk it.
Erica, come back!
Smith, don't be a fool. It's a fire. It's spreading. Give me the keys and we can both get out. Get out. Come on, get out. Throw the keys over here. No family and no future. Come on. Smith, there is some time. Sorry, Joan. No way you'd help me get out of here. It's a real good job this time. I'm gonna die right here. You're gonna burn with me.
done a recount. Field, Smith, Trapp, Lawson. They're missing. So is Officer Ferguson.
Where was she rostered? H block?
Yeah. So she'll have her keys. If the others are with her, at least they've got a chance.
Smith, listen to me. There is a way out. Open the gate and I'll show you. We can get up on the roof. Oh, yeah. And what happens then? Another 10 years in here with you, riding on my back every day. No way, Ferguson. You're gonna die. There won't be any charges, I swear to it. You'll have no more trouble from me. You'll get your parole. I'll see to it. Smith! Through there, you're both as good as dead. It's a ladder. It's in here. Please to the roof, and I got it. The key. For God's sake, woman, don't be a fool. Lawson, you're wasting time. We've got to get to that ladder.
Oh, how do I know you're telling the truth?
Telling the truth, you stupid bitch. You're just going to sit there and wait for us all to die.
If there's a way in from the roof, they'll find us.
The trapdoor's locked from the inside. How long do you think it's going to take them to break in and find us? Lawson. Open this gate.
All right. Stand back. Huzzah! Against the wall. Now, pick up B. We're not going without her.
She'll only hold us back.
You pick her up or none of us goes anywhere.
Right. Get you out of this. You're going to wish I hadn't for the rest of your life.
Oh, good Lord. I'll speak to him if you like. No, I'll be all right.
It's a mess, Erica. How did it start?
We don't know yet since we started in the library.
Well, was it deliberate?
Well, we have no way of telling until the police have had a chance to investigate. We're going to need temporary accommodation for the women. Could you arrange that?
I don't know. I mean, what's the damage? For how long?
I don't know. It seems to be very extensive.
Oh, all right, I'll see what I can do. Well, Lawson's release.
She may not need it, Ted. She's missing.
Yes.
Mrs. Davidson, just how bad is it, really? Very. The 3 lower floors are inaccessible without breathing apparatus. Then Ferguson and the others. Well, let's hope they're heading for the roof. It's their only way out now.
followed you all this way. Have you die on me, you bastard? Climb. Miserable. House, what the hell are you doing up there?
I can't find it. I can't find the key. Oh, we're in here. We're in here. Open up.
Don't open it. Your hands, you bloody idiot. The small key. Use the small key.
Bee! Come on, you can make it, Bee! Bee, hold on! Bee! It's all right, they're coming. It's all right, Bee, they're here. Just done it, go!
Come on up, get away. Hang on, love, I'm coming. Get a right line. All right, take her up. Slowly. Right, got her. All right, take her up slowly. All right. Give it a try. All right,
Where's the brake?
What?
Ferguson, she was right behind us.
Get a stretcher! Right, got it. Right, I'll be up in a few minutes. Hold up. Okay, hold it up. Slowly, one rung at a time. Steady. Right, lift. Lift.
Yeah, pass for a Jordan friend.
Spinal injuries.
Yeah, possibly. Listen, Lawson's release has come through. She's still in a state of shock, but as soon as the medic's given the all clear, she's free to go. It's official.
What, has she been told?
No, not yet.
Don't you think it'd be quicker if we took Joan with us?
No, we've got to get her down off the roof, and Smith's in pretty bad shape.
she's talking about?
I've no idea. I'd better go with her.
Yes, good idea. Hey, Lip. Lip. Right in the inlet. Watch that as guy with the leg. Not a word of this to the press. This Ferguson business, Howard.
What do you think I am, Ted?
Oh, I'm sorry, but there's going to be a hell of a scandal.
You're telling me?
How are you feeling?
Thirsty.
It said on the news the fire's under control now.
Oh.
Not too much. A little at a time. They just brought in another one of your people. She's right next door.
Who is it?
I didn't hear the name. Hang on, I'll have a look for you. Ferguson. Joan Ferguson. Do you know her?
Joan, can you talk?
Fields.
She's dead. They found her body in my office. Have you any idea why she was there?
No.
The farmer would like a word with you, Miss Ferguson. Do you feel up to it?
Right, thank you. Now, Officer Ferguson, when you were rescued from the fire, you said something about being attacked. Do you remember that? Who attacked you?
Smith.
B. Smith. They were found together, more or less.
And why did she attack you? Well, was she trying to get your keys?
She tried to kill me.
Was this before or after the fire started?
After fire, a diversion.
Do you know who started the fire?
She did.
How do you know that?
She told me.
Thank you, Miss Ferguson. You've been very helpful.
If we can prove Officer Ferguson's allegations...
Oh, well, of course, we'll have to back her up with a bit of evidence. But it looks pretty certain that your B. Smith is going to be facing charges of arson and murder.
In the rec room at the old Wentworth Nick. Lizzie got drunk, Maxie went punk, and I got disgustingly sick. Yeah. Bev passed out under the table, Lil passed out under the chair. When Margot passed out, the party was great. But Po-Face turned up at 7:45. Discovered that B had passed out the gate.
Beauty Butler, Chrissy, that was terrific. Come on, Angie, hit the flaming thing.
I knew that wall hanging would come in use for something.
Hey, hang on. Keep it down a minute, will you? Otherwise we'll have Po-Face back in here. Look, I think it's been a damn good party. And I reckon we deserve it too, let off steam after the last couple of weeks. But there's a few people we've got to thank. First of all, we should thank Davo for giving us permission to have the party. And then we should thank Lizzie and her friends at Woodridge for supplying the grog. But I don't want you to forget the other reason why we're here. We're all used to seeing faces come and go in here. Women come in, you make friends with them, and then they leave. Some come back, some don't. Barbara wasn't in here very long and she didn't make too many friends. But no one deserves the rotten deal she got. As for Mouse, she's a bloody nuisance most of the time, wasn't she? Always poking her nose in where it wasn't wanted. And under your feet. But she was one of us. And...
Yeah, well, here's to Mouse and Barbara. God send.
Thanks, Chrissy.
I told you, love. You got nothing to feel guilty about.
Oh, come on, you lot. It's supposed to be a party, isn't it? I'll make with the party.
Yeah, 20 to nothing, my way. Are you ready? Oh, yeah, that was my fault.
Better, wouldn't it?
Please, don't let me interrupt. I'm inclined to do a bit of celebrating myself. After all, we've been through a lot together, haven't we?
I should have killed you when I had the chance.
Come now. Is that any way to speak to someone who saved your life? I'd like to propose a toast.
I'll get you a new one, Mr. Ferguson.
The one in your hand will do fine, Birdsworth.
Are you kidding? I got a cold, and you get on me germs.
I'll take me chances. Here's to your future, ladies. And, especially yours, Smith. There, Lawson.
Cake. Mrs. O'Regan baked it.
What a pity. You'll have to take it back. The party's over. Sorry about that.
Come in. Oh, Miss Ferguson. Come in, sit down.
I'd prefer to stand, if you don't mind.
No, of course not. I hadn't expected you back so soon. How are you feeling?
Oh, quite well, thank you, Governor. Now, this is just a temporary measure to avoid strain. I've been cleared by the hospital and the department.
Yes, I know, but I thought perhaps you might like a few days off.
No, I'm perfectly capable of handling the women. Besides, I've already signed on.
Oh, I see. Well, why didn't you report to me earlier?
I didn't think it necessary to bother you. Well, not until now.
Why? What's happened? I suppose it would be too much to ask how you obtained this alcoholic additive. Well, you're all running very true to form. All right. As you cannot conduct yourselves in a trustworthy fashion, we shall just have to return to scratch. Work and recreation hours will remain as scheduled. But all other privileges are hereby cancelled until further notice. There will be no visits, no phone calls, no buy-up, and no facilities for entertainment and recreation.
There aren't any facilities for entertainment and recreation, and that's the problem.
Smith, if I were you, I would keep my mouth very firmly shut. I can't throw the whole of H Block into solitary, but I most certainly could be tempted to find a scapegoat in you. Get them back to their cells.
What do you think you're doing?
You heard the governor.
How come you haven't taken other people's stuff?
Oh, we'll get around to them later.
It's not fair. What you picking on us for?
Now, that's the kind of stupid question I'd expect from you, Latham.
We didn't want the lousy thing in the first place.
Oh, I don't know. I like me cup of tea.
Where you get tea or cocoa from with buy-up cancelled?
It's your fault.
Oh, that's bloody lovely, isn't it? Boy, don't you find out who your friends are when you're under pressure. You miserable, two-faced bitch.
Who are you calling a bitch?
Okay, forget the bitch. Miserable and two-faced is
Oh,
quite good enough.
Both of you, the freak's got in for all of us, and you're just playing right into her hands. How'd she catch on to the grog so quick, anyway?
Oh, maybe she's got someone on her payroll already.
Doubt it, she hasn't had time. Trouble with Ferguson is she's just too bloody smart by half. She may be a screw. She thinks just like one of us.
She's cleverer than us. She don't get caught.
No, that can't last. Everyone gets caught. Eventually.
Good afternoon, Wentworth Detention Centre. Yes, sir. Thursday the 28th, 9 a.m. Yes, sir. I'll let Mrs. Davidson know. Thank you. Mrs. Davidson, the department just rang to confirm that the VJ will be here the day after tomorrow. Who will I get to do that? One of the senior officers. Mrs. Morris? She's not here at the moment, but I'll see if I can find her. Do you know where Mrs. Morris is, Miss Ferguson?
Yeah, she's in H block. Why, what's going on?
Mrs. Davidson wants her to inform Smith and Latham that their hearing's been set.
Oh, well, I can do that.
Could you? That'd be terrific. I've got a dinner date and I'm running late already.
No problem.
The details are all there.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
The women would have been searched when they left Woodridge, and they've only been back here 5 minutes. Even Lizzie's brews take longer to mature than that.
Brian probably smuggled it in with the soft drinks.
Judy wouldn't do that.
Why not?
She'd be charged with trafficking and lose a parole.
Well, maybe she didn't think of the consequences. Perhaps she didn't figure on getting caught.
She just couldn't take the risk. It means a lot to her.
So do her mates on the inside, presumably.
Well, I just don't believe she did it.
Well, that's not what Mrs. Davidson seems to think.
Oh, you've already discussed it with her.
Of course. And she seems to think that Bryant was the only one with any opportunity.
I don't believe this is happening. Why would I waste everything I've ever tried to do at the house just so the women can have a booze up? I mean, that doesn't make sense.
If you didn't bring in the contraband, who did?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I suppose you're the one that found it, right? Yeah, that figures.
What do you mean by that?
Were there any witnesses?
Are you suggesting that Miss Ferguson had anything to do with this?
I'm not suggesting anything, Mrs. Davidson. I'm just saying it seems funny to me that Miss Ferguson always finds things that everyone else misses.
Probably, Bryant, because unlike most people in here, I do not have a trusting nature. Had I been on duty at the time, the soft drink wouldn't have got as far as it did.
Well, it wasn't searched when I was present. And that means that someone else must have planted the grog after I left.
Well, don't look at me, Bryant. I only signed on half an hour before I found them drinking, and the party was well underway by then.
You don't have to defend yourself, Miss Ferguson. Mrs. O'Regan tells me there's several people were in the kitchen all morning, which means that what you are suggesting could not have taken place without someone having seen it. As the liquor was added to the soft drink, I can only assume that this was effected before delivery. Now, could someone at the halfway house have done it perhaps as a joke?
No.
Then I must hold you entirely responsible.
Mrs. Davidson, for heaven's sakes, how many times do I have to say it?
Yes?
Oh, excuse me, Mrs. Davidson. Lizzie would like to speak to you.
Well, she'll have to wait.
I think you ought to hear what she's got to say.
What is it, Birdsworth?
About the grog.
Speak up, Birdsworth.
About the grog.
What about it?
I nicked it at Woodridge.
Oh, that's quite impossible. You were searched before you left.
Yeah, but they didn't think to search in the hot water bottles.
I just checked them. You can still smell the liquor.
Recent fire at Wentworth Detention Centre has found that the fire was probably caused by one of the inmates, the late Heather Trapp, 19. Trapp's body was discovered near the source of the conflagration. It is thought that Trapp started the blaze as a diversion, while another inmate, Barbara Fields, 23, broke into the governor's office in an attempt to secure files of a confidential nature. Fields was overcome by smoke and collapsed fatally after ransacking the office. Forensic evidence indicates that a Molotov cocktail was used to set alight the major electrical control system. Damage to the complex is estimated at being in the vicinity of $1.25 million.
Marvellous, isn't it, what they do to avoid a scandal?
Stinks.
Well, Latham and Smith are lucky the others are so conveniently dead.
It stinks because the person really responsible is going to get off scot-free.
Well, I don't think Smith will find the visiting justice quite so lenient. It was clever of you to get Birdsworth to own up. How'd you do it?
I didn't. She volunteered.
Oh, well, I suppose you, knowing their peculiar code of honour, told them about Bryant. Lost your appetite?
I'm on duty in the dining room.
It's a good enough reason. Staff room? Yeah, I'm on my way.
Well, there's no previous record, so we don't have her prints. You'll have to get them now.
Fine. OK, Carter, step up.
Well, anything wrong?
No. Your name is Jean Mary Carter, of no fixed address. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, Miss Ferguson.
Yes, Miss Ferguson.
You've been charged with stealing property not exceeding the value of $250 and assaulting a police officer, and have been sentenced to 1 month's imprisonment. Is that correct?
Yes, Miss Ferguson.
Fine. We'll take it from here.
Well, keep yourself nice, Jean.
OK, Carter, let's have your possessions. And I'll have that, too.
What?
Never been inside before, eh?
What are you doing?
I'm making the harbour bridge.
I'm sick to death of sitting here with nothing to do. I've got a good mind to go and join Lizzie in bed.
You wouldn't find that very entertaining. I wonder when our hearing's coming up.
Pretty soon, I reckon. Yeah, it's not looking very good for us, is it?
Come, Moffat. Assault and willful damage is a lot better than arson than murder, mate.
Yeah, that's if they stick to the deal.
They can't afford not to.
This is Jean Carter, ladies. I'm sure you'll make her welcome. And, by the way, Carter is not subject to the penalties imposed on H Block before she arrived.
How long are you in for?
Month. I see. Could be useful.
Useful? How?
Well, you haven't lost your privileges, see? But we have. Well, I don't understand. What privileges?
Well, buy up for one. We might just be persuaded to accept a contribution or two from you, just to show your goodwill.
Like what?
Oh, I don't know, a packet of fags, pickies, cards, anything like that.
But I don't have any money.
We'll see you're all right.
Well, I don't know. Why should I stick my neck out for yous lot?
Because now you're one of us. And here it is share and share alike. Isn't it, girls?
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Whatever you say.
Good.
I don't like it.
Eh?
She could be a spy or something.
A spy? What are you talking
The
about?
screws could have put her in here to get evidence against us.
You're getting paranoid, you know that?
Well, why should she do us any
Because she
favours?
has no choice.
Oh, yeah. So what's Ferguson doing? Point it up to us like that?
Ferguson, as you well know already, is a brown arm from way back. She just enjoys stirring.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Powell.
What are you doing here?
Just holding the fort while Heather delivers some memos. The governor called a staff meeting for this afternoon.
Yes, I'm well aware of that.
Oh, then you know all about the little upset yesterday. You know, the governor seems to think...
You're supposed to be convalescing.
Oh, well, I couldn't very well take all that time off while we're so short-staffed here, could I? Besides, the department made it perfectly clear they'd appreciate me back as soon as possible.
Did they?
Oh, don't worry about me. I'm perfectly fit, really.
Well, if anybody needs me, I'm with Mrs. Davidson.
It's quite capable
Mrs.
of
Davidson? Joan Ferguson has been a disruptive and perverse influence on this prison from the very day she started.
There is no proof.
No, please. Let me finish. Okay, it's true. We don't have any proof of her corruption. But the mere fact that we've tried to get the proof surely shows the problem exists. And we can be pretty sure she was a catalyst in the events leading up to the fire. So it is sheer madness to bring her back under the circumstances. My God, it's only going to antagonise the women and demoralise the rest of the staff.
Have you quite finished? Then I shall try to explain the situation as I see it. Miss Ferguson has an impeccable record. There is absolutely no evidence to support the accusations that have been brought against her. I can't object to her returning to work simply because the prisoners dislike her.
They hate her.
If I were to reject every officer in that category, I wouldn't have any staff left at all. Furthermore, you and the department went over my head in making an arrangement with the prisoners, which has virtually quashed any possibility of an open inquiry into Miss Ferguson's actions before or during the fire. You were also in charge of the women's return from Woodridge, which makes you responsible for them not having been searched properly. I might point out, Mrs. Powell, that the department is far more concerned at the moment with your competence as deputy governor than Miss Ferguson's ability as an officer. I suggest you consider that before making any actions which the authorities might consider as vindictive.
She's a flaming hypocrite, that Judy Bryant.
Why?
She dobbed you in, didn't she?
Not exactly.
She dobbed me in when I shot through from Barnhurst. You can never trust them do-gooders. Like little Maggie Morris over there.
I thought she was supposed to be a tame screw.
Tame? Weak as bloody water. Got on board. There's got to be something we can do. Hey, B, let's have a game or something.
What do you suggest? Water polo?
How about volleyball? Hey, yeah, all of that stuff used to be in the shed, didn't it? So it'd still be okay.
Yeah, that's right, isn't it, Mrs. Morris?
Well, I suppose so. I mean, the storage sheds weren't touched by the fire.
Oh, there you go, then.
Extraordinary how attractive a thing becomes when it's banned.
We still have to get our exercise.
You don't need equipment. You want exercise, try touching your toes.
What do you say, Mrs. Morris?
Miss Ferguson's right. The governor has banned your use of recreational facilities.
The meeting's due to start any minute.
Come in.
This is just plain bloody stupid.
I'll see what I can do.
See what I mean? Weak.
This can't go on, Mrs. Davidson. It's one thing to punish the women by taking away their normal privileges, but leaving them with absolutely nothing is counterproductive.
They have their work. Strictly speaking, that is a privilege too.
According to the book, yes. But if we didn't let them work, we wouldn't be able to run the prison properly.
Which is precisely why I have allowed them to do so. We have to get off on the right foot, and that means a tightening of security and a toughening up of attitude towards the prisoners.
We've tried that before, and it always ends up in total disaster.
That's probably because in the past we haven't backed our actions with sufficient solidarity.
But the women have got to have some incentive for good behaviour.
Point taken, Mrs. Morrison. We'll discuss that later. At the moment, I am trying to impress on everybody the need for solidarity within our ranks. The women are encouraged to be unruly the moment they see any divisiveness amongst the officers. I have made my decision, and I expect your complete support. If we can't show the women who is in control here, then believe me, the department will step in and do it for us. I'm sure none of us want that to happen, do we?
Smith and Latham in their cells?
Yes. You know, I could swear something just crept in here and died. It was you, Miss Ferguson.
Your wit is devastating, Smith.
Nice of you to say so, Miss Ferguson.
No doubt you're tested on the VJ tomorrow.
The hearing's tomorrow.
Oh, didn't you know? I must have forgotten to tell you.
What about the solicitor?
What solicitor?
Our solicitor. Has he been informed?
Oh, what a pity. It's too late now. It's after office hours.
We could ring him at home.
Besides, phone calls are a privilege and you're under suspension.
You bitch, you're just doing this on purpose.
Shut up, Chrissy. I think you'll find that phone calls are all right when they have to do with legal representation of Miss Ferguson.
That's not strictly accurate, Smith. I'm sorry, Miss Ferguson, I couldn't help overhearing. You don't have the right to phone your solicitor. But your solicitor does have the right to be informed that your hearing's been set. Isn't that so, Miss Ferguson?
Yes, of course. I was about to do that myself, as a matter of fact.
I bet she doesn't.
Thank you, Mrs. Powell.
I didn't think you were going to make it.
I nearly didn't.
Beatrice Alice Smith, you are charged with assaulting an officer, occasioning actual bodily harm, and with conspiring to cause willful damage to prison property. How do you plead?
We plead not guilty, Your Worship.
I have here a statement made by your client to the police and signed by her. Are you questioning its validity?
No, sir. We maintain that the action my client has admitted was taken in self-defence.
You may sit down, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, sir.
We'll first hear what evidence there may be against you. Then you'll have an opportunity to speak in your own defence. You may change your plea at any time during the proceedings. Do you understand me? Could we have Officer Ferguson in here, please? Miss Ferguson, you are required to take an oath. Do you have any objections to this on religious or moral grounds?
I do not.
Very well. You'll place your hand on the Bible and repeat after me. I swear by Almighty God.
I swear by Almighty God.
That the evidence that I shall give in this case.
That the evidence I shall give in this case.
Shall be the truth.
Shall be the truth.
The whole truth.
The whole truth.
And nothing but the truth.
And nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Quite a story. From what I've heard so far, Smith should be up on a charge of attempted murder. I'm amazed the department has decided to treat it as an internal matter.
Oh, prison officers attacking warders is hardly an image the department wishes to encourage.
It's hard enough to attract new recruits to the prison service without telling them in advance they're likely to be whacked on the head, eh?
Well, prison officers are not regarded with any great sympathy by the general public.
Even so, the public, in their collective wisdom, wouldn't condone the attempted murder of one.
Perhaps not, but it would look as though we were out of control here.
And are you?
Of course not.
It's all right, Erica. Just my little joke. Don't be cross.
Would you like some more tea?
No, thank you. I think we'd better get on with it. I'm fascinated to hear why Smith thinks she can plead self-defence.
As if they're lying there. I was taken out to the corridor because I'd been pretty badly beaten. She came after me again. I don't remember much about what happened after that. Well, Paddy told you how we got out. But I couldn't possibly have pushed Ferguson off that ladder deliberately. I could barely hang on myself by then. I was too weak.
Your Worship, you've heard my client tell of the inhuman treatment Officer Ferguson has meted out to the women since her arrival at Wentworth. The diaries that Barbara Fields had hidden with this villainous woman's record of her own cruelty and corruption. It's most unfortunate they were lost in the fire, but we can call witnesses who will testify to their existence and who were victims of this villainous woman.
Has anyone actually seen these books?
Only Barbara, sir. But from what she told us about them, they tally with what we already knew about the freak.
I gather you mean Officer Ferguson.
Yes, sir.
This whole business about the diaries is irrelevant, if indeed they ever existed. They are certainly lost to us now. And the only person who's ever seen them is dead. As for these witnesses you wish to call, I assume they're all inmates.
Yes, sir, they are.
Then by your own admission, they're subject to Miss Ferguson's authority and can hardly be considered impartial. Besides, all the evidence they can hope to bring to this inquiry can only promote Miss Ferguson's assertion that the prisoners are in collusion against her.
The screws know about her too, sir.
Really? Officer Ferguson has an impeccable record with the corrective services, both here and interstate. You've also heard the Governor and the Deputy Governor testify that despite occasional complaints, there has been no proof whatsoever of Miss Ferguson's alleged corruption. Well, I'm afraid you simply haven't got a leg to stand on.
Smith's hearing's still on.
No.
What is the reason for this interruption, Mrs. Morris?
I want to testify in Smith's defence.
I thought you said none of the officers had anything to add to this inquiry.
Mrs. Davidson doesn't know anything about this. I've only just decided to come forward myself. You see, I was a prisoner here for a while. I know how Officer Ferguson conducts herself when she thinks no one's looking.
She told him everything.
Everything?
Everything she knew, bless her little cotton socks.
So you got off?
Oh, not really. She couldn't prove anything. It was only hearsay, but her being a screw made all the difference.
So what did you get?
18 months for assault and 6 months for willful damage.
Oh, that sounds like an awful lot,
Not
Lee.
really. The VJ made it concurrent with the sentence I'm serving now, so it's no extra time at all, really. Does affect my parole, of course, but for a minute there I thought they were going to throw away the key. So I wouldn't panic if I were you, Chrissy. Could have been a hell of a lot worse.
Seems you were wrong about the good fairy.
I hear you testified against me.
Had your ear to the door, did you?
It's certainly nice to know what you think of solidarity between officers.
You had it coming.
I won't forget this.
You don't scare me. And if I were you, I wouldn't waste my time making threats. Why don't you resign before you're kicked out?